Imagine walking into a beautiful garden. The flowers are in full bloom, each petal vibrant with life, moving gently with the breeze. The air feels sacred, filled with a quiet tranquility that soothes your soul. Everything in this space seems to exist in perfect harmony, each element connected, yet at peace with its individuality. It's the kind of place where the noise of the world falls away, and you feel grounded, present, and whole. But now, imagine weeds creeping into this serene space. They start small, barely noticeable, but slowly they spread. They strangle the delicate flowers, block the sunlight, and turn this haven of calm into a battlefield of chaos. This is not just the story of a garden. It's the story of our minds. When unnecessary burdens, distractions, and attachments creep in, they clutter our inner world, suffocate our joy, and disconnect us from our true essence. Zen and Buddhist teachings remind us of a profound truth. Life is not about accumulating more. It's about letting go. True peace is not found in possessing but in releasing. Simplicity is the essence of Zen, a path that leads to rediscovering the stillness and freedom that already exist within us. But letting go is not about loss. It's about transformation. It's about clearing away what no longer serves us to reveal what truly matters. Letting go is like pulling the weeds from that overrun garden, not to leave it empty, but to allow the flowers to thrive again. Today, we'll explore 10 things you should quietly eliminate from your life. These teachings are not about rejecting the world, but about transforming the way you live within it. Each step will guide you closer to clarity, peace, and authenticity. Before we begin, let me share a story. Once, a traveler struggled up a steep road, his bag bulging with items he deemed essential. A monk passed him and asked, "Why do you carry so much?" The traveler replied, "Because I might need it." The monk smiled and said, "Your journey would be lighter if you let go of what you don't need." This journey is about lightening your load. It's about creating space for joy, uncovering the wealth of simplicity, and reconnecting with what truly matters. The garden of stillness is already within you, waiting to bloom once again. Let us begin. Part 1. The weight of possessions. In a quiet forest clearing, surrounded by towering trees, a Zen monk stood holding a simple wooden bowl in his hands. The morning light danced on its smooth surface. "This is all I own," he said softly, his voice resonating with calm and certainty. And yet, it is enough. The simplicity of his words carries a profound lesson. In a world driven by the constant chase for more possessions, more wealth, more achievements, we often equate having with happiness. We hoard objects, convincing ourselves that they define who we are or shield us from uncertainty. A closet bursting with clothes, gadgets we never use, shelves filled with trinkets. We think these things bring us joy or security. But do they? Buddhist teachings remind us that nothing we own is permanent. Objects break, decay, or become obsolete. Even the most treasured possessions eventually fade, leaving behind not fulfillment, but a burden. Our attachment to them traps us in a cycle of longing and loss, like carrying a heavy load on a journey where less would suffice. Consider the story of a wealthy merchant who once lost everything in a sudden disaster. Devastated, he sought guidance from a Zen master. "I have nothing left," he cried. The master listened and then pointed to the horizon where the sun was rising in golden splendor. "Who owns this light?" he asked. "Yet, it is yours to enjoy every day." This is the essence of simplicity, letting go of what does not serve you and embracing the freedom it brings. Decluttering your life doesn't mean deprivation. It means liberation. Look around your home. What items have become invisible in their abundance? Donate, share, or release what you no longer need. In this act of letting go, you will find something far greater than possessions: the wealth of simplicity, the lightness of being unburdened, and the space to breathe, to live, to simply be. Part 2. Toxic relationships. In a moment of reflection, the Buddha shared a profound truth: better to walk alone than with a fool. These words remind us of the immense power relationships hold in shaping our lives. Some people are like the comforting shade of a tree, offering solace, encouragement, and room to grow. Others, however, are like hidden thorns, causing wounds that linger and drain our energy, joy, and peace. Toxic relationships can be subtle. They may not always appear harmful at first, but over time, they chip away at your well-being. They come in the form of relentless criticism, manipulation, or even the quiet erosion of your self-worth. The cost of staying in such relationships is heavy: your mental health, your dreams, your sense of self. One day, a disciple approached his master, seeking clarity. "Master," he asked, "how do I know when to let go of someone?" The master, without a word, handed him a cup overflowing with tea. Confused, the disciple watched the liquid spill over the sides. Finally, the master said, "When you are too full, you must pour some out. If not, you will drown in your own cup." The lesson is clear: your emotional capacity is limited. If your life is filled with relationships that harm rather than heal, you will have no space for peace, growth, or meaningful connections. Quietly, without anger or resentment, begin to distance yourself from those who sow negativity or hinder your journey. This is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of compassion for yourself and for others. When you release these burdens, you allow healthier, more supportive connections to enter your life. Remember, relationships are not measured by quantity but by quality. Free yourself from the chains of toxicity, and you'll find that your life begins to bloom, just like a garden given room to grow. Part 3. Perfectionism. A young woman, weary from her journey, climbed a mountain in search of wisdom. She carried the weight of her struggles, her constant attempts to achieve perfection. Upon reaching the summit, she knelt before the master and asked, "Master, I strive to be perfect, yet I always fall short. What should I do?" The master studied her for a moment, then handed her a cracked clay pot. "Pour water into this pot until it overflows," he instructed. Though puzzled, she obeyed. As the water seeped through the crack, she exclaimed in frustration, "The pot is flawed. It cannot hold the water." The master smiled gently. "And so are you," he said. "Yet the crack allows water to nourish the earth. Your imperfections, too, have purpose." This simple yet profound lesson reveals a truth we often overlook. Perfection is an illusion. The relentless chase for it leads only to frustration, self-judgment, and exhaustion. Like the young woman, we focus so much on the cracks in our lives, our flaws, mistakes, and shortcomings that we fail to see how they shape us, how they allow us to contribute to the world. Buddhist teachings remind us that the goal of life is not to be flawless, but to be present. Embrace your imperfections as part of your humanity. Your so-called flaws are not weaknesses. They are what make you unique, what allow you to grow, to learn, and to connect with others. Set realistic goals. Strive not for perfection, but for progress. When you release the impossible standards you impose on yourself, you'll find peace and self-compassion. Remember, a cracked pot can still water the flowers. It is not the absence of flaws, but the acceptance of them that makes us whole. Part 4. Endless distractions. In the serene stillness of a Zen monastery, silence is not merely the absence of sound. It is a sacred practice. One day, a curious visitor asked the abbot, "Why do you eat and walk in silence?" The abbot smiled and replied, "When you eat in silence, you taste the universe in a single grain of rice. When you walk in silence, you hear the whispers of the earth." These simple words carry a profound truth. Silence invites presence, and presence reveals the beauty of life. But in today's world, silence is a rarity. Distractions, social media, endless notifications, and the constant pull of multitasking crowd our minds. We are always connected yet deeply disconnected, our attention fragmented by things that often don't matter. Imagine scrolling through your phone, hours slipping away in a haze of comparison, news, and fleeting entertainment. Now, imagine sitting quietly in a sunlit room, savoring a cup of tea, feeling its warmth in your hands, its taste on your tongue. The first scenario leaves you drained, the second, fulfilled. Distractions rob us of the present moment, the only moment we truly have. By chasing what is urgent, we lose sight of what is meaningful. To reclaim your peace, start small. Set boundaries for your digital life. Schedule periods of disconnection and stick to them. Create intentional moments of quiet in your day. Walk without your phone. Listen to the world around you. And let your thoughts settle like leaves on a still pond. In these quiet moments, you will rediscover the profound joy that simplicity brings. The world is richer than we often notice. Its beauty waiting patiently for you to slow down and see. In the quiet, the universe speaks through a grain of rice, a gentle breeze, or the sound of your own heartbeat. Part 5. The Illusion of Control. There once lived a humble farmer in a quiet village. One day, his only horse ran away. The neighbors gathered, shaking their heads in sympathy. "What bad luck!" they exclaimed. The farmer simply shrugged and replied, "Maybe." A few days later, the horse returned, bringing with it a group of wild companions. The neighbors celebrated, saying, "What good fortune!" Again, the farmer responded, "Maybe." Not long after, while trying to tame one of the wild horses, the farmer's son fell and broke his leg. The neighbors came again, lamenting, "Such terrible luck." The farmer calmly replied, "Maybe." Finally, soldiers arrived in the village, conscripting all able-bodied young men for war. Because of his injury, the farmer's son was spared. The neighbors, once more, said, "How lucky you are." The farmer, wise and unmoved, said only, "Maybe." This story captures the essence of Buddhist teachings on the illusion of control. Life flows like a river, unpredictable and ever-changing. Trying to control every twist and turn of its current only leads to frustration and suffering. We label events as good or bad, but these judgments are often short-sighted. What seems unfortunate today may pave the way for unexpected blessings tomorrow. Letting go of the illusion of control does not mean living passively. Instead, it is about trusting the natural unfolding of life. It's about releasing rigid expectations and responding to circumstances with wisdom and grace. When plans unravel or challenges arise, ask yourself, what can I learn? How can I adapt? Like the farmer, approach life with openness and equanimity. Each moment is a mystery waiting to unfold. By surrendering the need to control, you free yourself to experience life as it is, not as you wish it to be. In this acceptance lies true peace. Part 6. Regret. In the stillness of a monastery courtyard, a young novice sat weeping, his tears falling onto the dusty ground. His heart was heavy with the weight of past mistakes, words he wished he could take back, actions he longed to undo. His master, observing from a distance, approached with quiet steps and knelt beside him. The master took a stick and drew a perfect circle in the sand. "What is this?" he asked gently. "A circle," the novice replied, confused. With a single stroke, the master erased it. "The past is like this circle," he said. "It exists only in memory. Release it." These simple words carry profound wisdom. Regret is a chain that binds us to what cannot be undone. It forces us to relive moments of pain, guilt, or failure, trapping us in a cycle of self-judgment. Yet, no amount of dwelling can alter the past. It exists only in the shadows of our memory. Buddhism teaches us to forgive ourselves and others. This forgiveness is not an excuse for mistakes, but an acknowledgement of our shared humanity. We are all imperfect beings, learning and growing through life's trials. Each mistake carries a lesson if we choose to see it. The key to breaking free from regret is to live in the present moment. Each new day offers an opportunity to begin again, unburdened by yesterday's errors. The past has shaped who you are, but it does not define who you can become. Let go of the circle in the sand. It has already been erased. When regret whispers in your ear, remind yourself the present is a clean slate, and the future is yet to be written. In releasing the past, you free yourself to fully embrace the possibilities of now. Part 7. Resentment. One morning, under the shade of ancient trees, a monk was seen struggling along the path, a heavy sack slung over his shoulders. Each step seemed an effort, his face etched with strain. Another monk approached and asked, "Brother, Why are you carrying such a heavy load? These stones, the monk replied, represent the grudges I hold. Each one reminds me of a wrong done to me, a wound that still aches. The second monk looked at him thoughtfully. Why not put them down? The burdened monk hesitated. Because they remind me of my pain. And do they lighten your journey? The second monk asked gently. This story reflects the nature of resentment. When we hold on to grudges, it's as if we carry a sack of stones on our back, each one weighing us down with anger, bitterness, and hurt. We may think that holding on to these feelings keeps us connected to the pain or the person who caused it, but in truth, it only harms us. Buddhist teachings liken resentment to holding a burning coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else. While we clutch it tightly, it is our hand that burns. Letting go of resentment is not about excusing the actions of others or pretending the hurt didn't happen. It's about freeing yourself from the toxic grip of anger and reclaiming your peace. Practice compassion, even for those who have wronged you. This does not mean condoning their behavior. It means releasing the power they hold over your emotions. Imagine dropping the sack of stones. Feel the weight lift from your shoulders. In doing so, you create space for lightness, joy, and connection to return to your life. Let go, and let your heart be free. Part 8. Fear of Change. Once, a river flowed through valleys and plains, content with its journey but afraid of the unknown. As it approached the ocean, it hesitated, trembling at the edge. If I merge with the ocean, the river cried, I will lose myself, my identity, my path, all that I have been. It will all disappear. The ocean, vast and calm, replied with a gentle voice, without me, you cannot know your true vastness. By letting go, you become a part of something far greater. This story mirrors the fear many of us face when confronted with change. We cling to the familiar, even when it no longer serves us, because the unknown feels threatening. But change, like the merging of the river and the ocean, is not an end. It is a transformation. Buddhist teachings remind us that impermanence is the very nature of life. Everything we know, our relationships, possessions, even our own selves, is in a constant state of flux. Resisting change is like trying to hold back the tide. It only leads to suffering. Think of a caterpillar resisting the cocoon, fearful of what it might lose. Yet, in surrendering to the process, it emerges as a butterfly, discovering a freedom it never imagined. Change carries this same promise of growth and renewal, even if the journey feels uncertain. When you face the fear of change, ask yourself, what am I truly afraid of? What might I gain by letting go? Trust that each transformation, no matter how daunting, brings wisdom and strength. The river that flows into the ocean does not vanish. It becomes a part of something infinite. So, too, do we expand when we embrace change? Let go of fear and step boldly into the vastness that awaits you. Part 9. False Self. A seeker once approached a Zen master, his heart heavy with confusion. Master, he asked, who am I? How can I understand my true self? The master looked at him kindly and said, remove your titles, your possessions, and your beliefs. What remains is the answer. At first, the seeker was puzzled. Titles? Possessions? Beliefs? These were the very things that defined him. His job, his accomplishments, his reputation, the roles he played in the world. How could he let them go? But as he sat with the master's words, their meaning began to unfold. We often wear masks constructed from external labels, achievements, and opinions. We introduce ourselves by what we do, what we've earned, or what others think of us. These layers become our identity, but they are not who we truly are. They are impermanent, like clothing that can be removed, leaving the essence beneath unchanged. Consider the sky on a cloudy day. The clouds may obscure its vastness, but the sky remains untouched, infinite, and still. Our true self is like that sky, hidden beneath the temporary roles, possessions, and beliefs we accumulate. Buddhist teachings remind us that clinging to these external definitions creates suffering. When a job is lost, a title stripped away, or an opinion challenged, We feel untethered because we have built our identity on shifting sands. But when we turn inward, beyond the masks, we find something unchanging, our essence, our true nature. Ask yourself, if all the labels, possessions, and roles were taken away, what would remain? The answer is profound: a being of pure awareness, unbound by the illusions of the external world. To discover your true self, let go of the false. In that stillness, you will find a freedom that no title or possession could ever provide. Part 10. External Validation. On a quiet night, a monk sat in deep meditation under a canopy of stars. The sky stretched endlessly above him, glittering with countless points of light. A passerby, noticing his stillness, approached and asked, "Why do you sit here alone? Shouldn't you seek recognition for your wisdom?" The monk opened his eyes and gazed upward. "The stars," he said softly, "shine without applause, and so do I." This simple yet profound response holds a lesson for all of us. In a world where validation often feels like the measure of our worth, we forget a fundamental truth. Our light is not dependent on others noticing it. Like the stars, our value exists inherently, whether seen or unseen. Seeking validation from others is like chasing shadows, fleeting and insubstantial. No matter how much approval we receive, it will never feel enough if our sense of self-worth relies on external sources. The moment the applause fades or the recognition wanes, doubt creeps in, leaving us hollow and searching for the next boost. Buddhism teaches that true peace comes from within. When we anchor our sense of self in our own values and authenticity, we no longer need the approval of others to feel whole. This does not mean shutting out the world, but embracing ourselves as we are, imperfections and all. Ask yourself, do you dim your light to fit into someone else's expectations? Or do you shine freely, regardless of who notices? The monk's wisdom reminds us that we don't need an audience to live a meaningful life. Let your light shine authentically, not for admiration, but because it is who you are. The stars do not seek applause, they simply illuminate the night. So, 2. Can you light up the world with your presence? Rooted in the quiet confidence of self-acceptance. Imagine standing at the edge of a dense forest, your path tangled with weeds and overgrown branches. Each step you take to clear the way reveals a little more light, a little more clarity. This is the journey of letting go, an act of liberation, one burden at a time. The path to authenticity and freedom is not paved in perfection but in progress. Each small step, each quiet act of release, brings you closer to the peace you seek. Whether it's shedding the weight of possessions, breaking free from toxic relationships, or releasing the grip of resentment, every effort matters. Like drops of water carving through stone, these acts reshape your life in profound ways. As we let go, we create space, not just in our external world, but in our hearts and minds. In that space, joy begins to bloom, unburdened by the heaviness of attachment or expectation. And here lies the beautiful paradox. In letting go, we gain so much more. Zen teaches us that happiness never decreases by being shared. The inner freedom you cultivate radiates outward, inspiring those around you. By embracing simplicity, compassion, and presence, you become a gentle flame lighting the way for others, a beacon of what it means to live authentically and fully. This journey is not a checklist or a destination. It's a lifelong practice, one that invites you to approach each moment with curiosity, openness, and courage. Let these teachings guide you, not as heavy burdens to carry, but as gentle whispers reminding you of the freedom already within you. So, step forward, let go of what weighs you down. And as you do, may your light shine brightly, illuminating not just your path, but the paths of others. In this shared light, we find the boundless peace that Zen and Buddhist wisdom promise.